Thank you if you listened to my very distorted filming the other day from Wells Cathedral and the beautiful Bishop's Palace Garden. Tonight, I'm just stopped at Gloucestershire services, and I thought I'm just going to talk about reincarnation and past lives and how we get off that grid, It's really interesting because, as you know, I live in Glastonbury area, but I'm now going to where my parents lived. As many of you know, I'm dealing with clearing their house, and that's a whole story. I mean, I must probably be one of a few people who found the only way to clear my parents' possessions with love and compassion is to open a little shop. The thought of getting a house clearance in just feels wrong for me. So, as you know, I've opened a little shop, but now I'm going up north to a funeral for my father's oldest friend's wife. His friend is 101, and his wife sadly passed away a few weeks ago, and she was 101 also. And so really it should be a celebration of her life, honoring that longevity. 101, she was incredible to live that long, and her husband is still living on at 101 as well, and they're very blessed. They live in their own home on their own, which is incredible. I thought my dad might live longer than them, but turned out not to be the case. And then I'm going to London to see some clients, some of you, for my one-to-one regression sessions. And then I'm going to a memorial of another gentleman that was a spiritual man who wrote books on London, City of Revelations. Going to be a little memorial for his spiritual friends, to honor his life and his work on the dragon lines, ley lines, whatever you want to call them, of London, And so in the work that I do, which is, past life regression, inner child healing, ancestral timeline healing, between lives, singing, light language, and womb trauma healing, you don't really need to reincarnate here, but you've got to get your frequency up to a level and your soul to a point of realization about self, to increase your vibration out of the density of the third dimension. Some people choose to come back here to do work for humanity. That's a choice. Others need to come back. There's so much I can share, and I share in other videos about reincarnation. So although I do past life regression, I do know that it's possible to heal the trauma and expand your consciousness and not have to do that. And for anybody who's new to me and what I do, I've been doing past life regression and all the work that I've just said about for 25 years, full-time, day in, day out. And those of you who don't know, back in the day from 2004 to 2007, I was doing past life regression on UK TV on a show called This Morning, and then a series called Have I Been Here Before, which you can see at the beginning of my YouTube channel. So go and have a look there. It's not edited particularly well, and obviously I've honed my gifts and skills further since then, and I like to call it soul freedom therapy or awakening, what I do, because it's to help you heal. And I saw someone posting the other day, I'm going to just put these on so I can read some of your comments, if you've got any comments, and I'll answer the ones that are not unpleasant, let's put it that way. Stop. Someone's saying they've been to the sixth dimension on mushrooms. Yeah, that's another thing that we can talk about as well. I'm very anti-ayahuasca, anti-cambo, anti-frog spawn, or whatever you want to call it, or toad poison. Done maybe in the right environment in the Amazon with shaman staying there for a few weeks, it's right for probably the shaman there and the people who live in the Amazon. But you don't need to take anything. You have to do the inner work to evolve your soul. You can actually give yourself a psychotic episode. If you have a lot of emotional trauma from childhood or past lives or ancestral that you've not healed, and you start taking ayahuasca or frog spawn or something, and you're not grounded enough, you can have a real psychotic episode. So I would warn against that, because you're going to really frazzle the synapses of your brain, and you might not be ready to emotionally deal with what's going to come up. Remember, when we're doing emotional inner work, we're only going where we're ready to process that stuff. You know, you're not forcing it, you're going where you're ready, and with someone who's skilled and gifted and intuitive and experienced like myself. You know, I do work reading the emotional Akashic records online. I have the skill and gift to read your emotional, and I'm very specific, it's the emotional Akashic records, which is going into the origin of emotional trauma and helping you clear that wherever that may be. And I use sound frequency, light language. I've worked so hard on my own throat to be able to hit the octaves and the sophophonic frequencies which I can sing forth. It's a lot of work, because early in my life I got mugged and strangled outside my flat in London, and I think that was to try and stop me from being able to sing these light language codes that I didn't know I'd be singing. You know, at that point in my life I wasn't publicly singing light language. I was maybe speaking it as a child, and then you forget and you get shut down for a while, and then you reawaken, you know. And I'm 55 now, and so I had my awakening when I was 30. So it was a very abrupt awakening. I was levitating off my bed. You know, it came from joining psychic development classes and doing meditation and doing my inner work. And you know, I've been very lucky in this lifetime. I've had a very strong sense of will of self. So I never really drank or smoked or did drugs. I always knew that was wrong for my soul to do that. It would be very detrimental if I did that to excess. And I don't really, in all honesty, like the taste of alcohol that much. So if I had one glass, you know, like when the doctor goes, how many units do you drink? It's like, if I drank 13 a year, that would be like a lot, you know. So it's just sharing. Everybody, you've got to forgive yourself. You know, everybody's at a different level of consciousness. You know, don't look at me going, oh, she's saying that to us. You know, really be compassionate, be forgiving of yourself, and understand all those things that are helping your soul to evolve. Let me just see if there's any comments. Oh, thank you for your nice comment. Thank you. Yeah, light language is sound frequency healing. Some people don't know. If you look at my other videos, you can see what light language is. So what else is there? Lots of other topics. You know, I have tons of videos. You know, I've just felt to make a few lives recently. These are great. They just magnify a little bit, but they've also got blue blockers for looking at the screen. So it's really useful to do that. But I have to go to the north. Like I said, I'm at my most favorite. Look where I am. I bet you some of you could name where I am if I show you out of the window. Can you see where I am? Can you name that motorway services? I'll give you a clue. M5. The best motorway services in the whole of the UK. Well, there's another one owned by the same family in Cumbria. What is it? It's Gloucestershire Motorway Services, like the Harrods of motorway services. I am here far more than I wish to be, but at least it's a little nice break on my journey to the north, because as I said earlier in my little live stream, I'm still clearing my parents' house of their past life, this life treasures, you know, ancestral healing, so much healing. And that's another thing I've thought about. Okay, when your parents pass away, and I doubt there's going to be people, I've said this many times, people with more stuff in their house than my parents have, and I am on my own clearing this house. I don't have siblings to help me. So there is a lot of stuff, and my parents were neat hoarders, but I think for a lot of people, they just send in the house clearance. They don't, but that's avoiding your healing. Your healing is trawling through that stuff. And yeah, because I'm self-employed, I'm able to take time out to do that. I appreciate if you have a full-time job, it's very hard to clear your parents' home and keep working at the same time. I mean, I'm lucky because I work with you guys. I can put my sessions online. You know, I either work with you online from anywhere in the world, or I'm working with you in person. And sometimes I see people where my parents' house is in Cheshire, or where I live in in Glastonbury, or I go to London because I love the energies of London, or in Cornwall. So pick where you want to tune into the frequency of that place. Also, the different energies of the different ley lines as I travel them. I don't know about you, but I am a gypsy by heart. Maybe that's my past lives. I'm a gypsy. And I actually found a project that I did as a child in trawling through all the stuff in my parents' house. Actually found a project I wrote about gypsies. And it's a really good, thorough project on gypsies. And I think it, gives me a nod to the fact that we are travelers. We're all travelers. We love traveling. So just sharing that with you. As always, it's always the same story with me. It's the battery is going, and I don't know where you are in the world today, but thank you for tuning in. I'm enjoying doing these little impromptu lives now and again. I'm sorry that most of them are in my car, but I will get back to doing my proper long videos very, very soon. So thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure you are Batman, Zach, but if you want to believe you're Batman, I did go to a Batman premiere once, but that's come up in trawling through the treasures in my house. I have found the tickets and the poster from the Batman premiere when there was one in the UK. Many moons ago in the 1990s. I think it was Batman Forever, maybe. So we digress slightly, but just going with the flow of what you're posting. So back to the reincarnation, back to this deep healing inner work, with a client the other day. It was, was amazing to see that they'd incarnated into a family. And often you as the soul are choosing the family. Very few people are conscious enough to pick a soul. You can pick a soul, but you have to have evolved your consciousness to call in that soul and reject certain souls, and that's a whole of the story for another day, but it's possible. So my client incarnated for the connection to the soul that was going to be his brother, because in a past life he'd killed that person on a battlefield with a spear to his head. He'd killed him, and that had forced them into reincarnate in this lifetime to work things through. Interestingly and tragically, he incarnated into that family with this brother who was just a little bit older than him because he'd been born first. But then that brother got an aneurysm in his brain, and again, your trauma can go where there's a weakened cell memory to a trauma from a past life. So he'd been shot with an arrow in the head, so that had triggered that trauma to resurface, and that's hard for some people to understand, but I've seen this time and time again. Your ailments and illnesses go where there's a weakened cell memory in your body, and it's often to where there's been a previous trauma, whether it was this lifetime or past lives. That's what I see happening, and tragically that little baby brother passed on in this lifetime. So that brought up many complications of incarnating for the soul connection with that being, and then that soul had attached him. A lot of what I deal with is entities, so that soul had attached as an entity, so we had to resolve the past life, forgive him for what had happened, explain to the baby brother that had died, that had attached to him, and release that. So this is deep inner work. For some people, they don't understand the depth of this inner work, but this is the work that we're doing now. Until you've cleared all this stuff in yourself, it's pointless pledging your allegiance to beings from other dimensions, other galactic origins, not in a physical body. Because if you haven't healed your own emotional trauma and your backlog, you're going to be connecting to beings who hold that frequency. So as your frequency changes and you heal things, the beings you connect with will potentially change, So also, you want to connect with your authentic soul self. We call that your higher self, but you want to connect with that because the knowledge and wisdom that comes from your own soul and your soul star family, these are luminescent beings in other dimensions of being. So yes, so I don't know what's happened. Hold on, the screen has gone blank. I don't know if you're all still there, so not sure. I'm gonna go because I'm not sure if you've disappeared. I can't really see. So think that's why it disconnected. So much love, many blessings for now, and I don't know if it's cut off. So much love, and I'm gonna go. I'm seeing little hearts, so the screen's gone blank, so I apologize, but just pop a comment if you can still see me or if you can hear me. I'll hold on for a second. Still here. Oh, you can see. Can you see me as well, Lisa? Thanks. Hi, Lisa. Hope you're well. Yeah, someone else said they're kind of enjoying my musings in the car. No, not Cookie, is she? It's just you're new to this kind of stuff, but hold tight, watch the other stuff, and you will awaken to furthermore. You can still see me. Oh, great. It's actually better not being able to see yourself. It's easier when you can't see yourself. So thank you for that. I'll carry on for another second and we'll wrap it up. So thanks for joining in. Yeah, there we are, just sharing truths, sharing wisdom about the soul. You know, also when my own father died, I'm sure I've shared this a little bit before, I personally like burials, you know, let that be said, write it in sand. I like a burial, but you know, nowadays most people are being, I've just put my car on for a second just to charge the back, but I'll just turn it off because you can hear it whizzing in the background. But if you are being cremated, you can do something, but you have to ask special dispensation for it, called the charging of the body, which is where you watch the body actually go into the burner. And that's quite a shocking thing for some people. But for me, it's the most beautiful thing, the rite of passage to journey with your loved one. And because I sing light language and sound frequency healing, I sung my parents into the other final resting place of their physical body. Obviously, their souls already left, because that's how you die. Your soul leaves your body and it hovers around it. Sometimes it shoots straight off, depends how evolved you are in your consciousness. That's why doing this inner work is paying dividends, not just for this lifetime, but the future of your soul. Whether you come back into this body or into this dimension of physicality, or you go somewhere else in the cosmos, in the universe, is all to do with the evolution of consciousness of your soul. So with that said, thank you all for watching. I must carry on my charioting. That's, I always call the car a chariot, which also alludes to past lives, isn't it? Calling your car a chariot. So I got to crack on with my journey now, but I just wanted to make that. I am in London next week seeing clients, like I said, and going to a memorial, and then back to Glastonbury. And then I got to go back to my parents up north to keep decluttering and carry on with my little shop that I have at that. Clear the stuff out of the house. You know, anyone love any ancient furniture? I have lots of it. So thank you, Lisa. Lovely to see, well, connect with you. I don't see you, I feel your energy. So thank you, Lisa. So much love for now. If you enjoy my stuff, subscribe. I think it's below. Share my videos if you love them. That's great. And I'm here if you want a session, online or in person. Andrea Foulkes. AndreaFoulkes.com is my website. Much love for now. Many blessings. Bye for now. Bye everybody. Bye.